Hello, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to my presentation on Reading 8, Instructional Quality of Massive Open Online Courses, better known as MOOCs. Since its inception back in 2006, massive open online courses, or as they are more commonly referred to as MOOCs, were created to serve a disconnected population. Network learning was the focal point of this new way of learning. Having the ability to engage and interact with other people across the world that all share a commonality was intriguing to say the least. The openness of this platform gave way to different points of view to coexist with one another. The phrase MOOC was coined by George Siemens and Stephen Downes from the University of Manitoba, where they had more than 2,200 learners participating in their online course. They sought out to deliver content online for purposes of connecting resources and people in one central location. This approach was referred to as CMOOCs. Fast forwarding to 2011, the United States began to take note of MOOCs and delivered their own versions, which focused on a more linear design, offering videos and testing their knowledge with multiple choice exams. This approach was referred to as XMOOCs. Even Quality Matters, an organization that stands for a presence of quality in online learning, supported these use of MOOCs. As with anything that pertains to online learning, there was a cause for concern about whether these courses delivered high quality content in lieu of just focusing on the design aspect. While there are millions of people taking part in MOOCs all across the world, there has not been a focus on how effective this form of online learning has been. With the level of popularity increasing towards these MOOCs, there was a growing need to examine just how successful they were in terms of quality. Which type of MOOC, being a CMOOC or an XMOOC, is looked upon as being more successful than the other? One would say that retrieving data from student evaluations of these courses would be a good source of assessing that quality. However, they are not instructional design experts and therefore cannot be taken into consideration. In order to determine which type of MOOC are of quality, the authors of this study delved deeper into the instructional design aspect in accordance to Merrill's first principles of instruction. With Merrill's principles of instruction, there are five major areas of criteria. Let's explore these and put some context to them. The first is problem centered. The belief of this is to provide the student with activities centered around issues that occur in real world situations. Exploring behaviors and skills is key to this instruction. Next, we have activation. This criterion happens when learners are able to combine previous knowledge with new knowledge in real world situations. Creating opportunities for the students to combine old and new skills and knowledge will aid in completing that assessment. Demonstration is the third criterion. It is the ability to show how a skill can be learned. When these students demonstrate their skills, it lets them see what works and what doesn't. Improvement is key to this instruction. The fourth criterion is application. This occurs when the learners use their new skills towards a problem. A best practice is to have numerous opportunities for the learner to apply their new skills. Opportunities such as case studies challenges them and apply their skills and knowledge to solve them. And lastly, we have integration. This applies to learners being given the chance to reflect and defend their newly acquired skills to all involved. Motivation and confidence are key with this instruction as well, being that the learners are able to see they have the clout using their knowledge to impact real world instances. It is also worth noting that these five principles are activity based. However, there is a learning resources component in addition to learning support component that serve as extensions, focusing on course materials and feedback respectively. They are collective knowledge, promoting students add to the information, collaborating with others, differentiation, allowing learners to learn through different ways in accordance to their need, authentic resources, pulling from actual real world settings, and feedback provided from their performance. The authors use these 10 criterions to establish their research questions. To determine the sample size for this study, there was an extensive search done through search engines and referrals. A Likert scale was used to scan the course for approval. The categories were none, to some extent, to large extent, to very large extent, not applicable, and no information. Of the 344 courses that had met these criteria, 76 were chosen. 50 of the courses were deemed X MOOCs, the other 26 were C MOOCs. Being that there was a shortage of C MOOCs, all 26 were chosen. Of the remaining 318 X MOOCs, 50 of them were randomly selected. For the courses to qualify, there were two areas of importance that had to be met. One, the course had to be in English, and two, they had to be fully open during the time frame of the study. The author's original plan was to have an even distribution of 50 X MOOCs and 50 C MOOCs, but as stated earlier, there was a shortage of C MOOCs. The courses needed to occur between the time frame of September through December of 2013, and the data was collected between October and December of 2013 and was extracted using SPSS. Findings from the study involve the 10 principles of instruction, and they are as follows. 88% of the MOOCs were found to be problem-centered only. 8 of the 76 MOOC courses had ill-structured problems. 89% of the MOOCs didn't require the learners to relate their skills to the course. Only 7 of the 76 MOOCs included assignments that asked the learners to relate their skills to the assignments. For example, in an entrepreneurship course, having them reflect on their own experiences with startups. As stated earlier, of the 8 problem-centered courses, there were only 3 that had problem solutions. 45 of the 76 courses did not allow the learners to apply what they learned towards the assignments in the course. Only 8 of the courses had either a large or very large presence of assignments, allowing for new knowledge to be used. Only 6% of the MOOC courses encouraged the learners to incorporate their new knowledge or skill. The number of courses given the learners the ability to contribute and participate was very small. Only 16 of the 76 required them to contribute. 89% of the courses did not have assignments that required the learners to work with others. Only 8 of them had collaboration assignments. There was a limited number of MOOCs that had a variety of ways to carry out the learning assignments. Only 27% of them had different options such as media and technologies. Only 1/3 of the MOOCs had authentic resources. And finally, the presence of instructor feedback was checked, and it was determined that the feedback was lacking depth and substance. Rather, they were very basic and not specific. This model was instrumental for the authors to determine the level of instructional design quality for these MOOC courses. There were some significant changes made to the instrument. For example, the importance of exercises and targets to business needs and the contribution of students' line administrators were evaluated. And some of the standards were operationalized in better detail to empower a more nuanced examination of the courses. Overall, findings from the study concluded that both types of MOOCs obtained a low score. The score range was from 0 to 72, with 0 indicating none of the principles were met and 72 indicating all principles were met. The overall score of the C MOOCs only scored between 0 and 28 with a median score of 11. For the X MOOCs didn't fare any better, scoring between 3 to 25 with a median score of 8. It is worth noting that according to the Inside Higher Education, students who enrolled in their first MOOC course declined drastically the following year since 2012 2013. The percentage of enrollees went from 38% to 7% in 2016 2017. This is a telltale sign that this initiative has ran its course to some extent. The creation of these MOOCs started out with high hopes and expectations, paving a new way of online learning for free. Being able to interact with these people across the world was a promising approach, but the success was short lived, met with low completion rates. Other factors also contributed to its demise, including what was laid out by the authors in this article. In addition to the geographical demographics of some students being in countries that were underdeveloped. What is to be understood is MOOCs lack the quality needs to change if they are to remain relevant. After reading this article about MOOCs and their impact on learners, I have two questions to ask. For the first question, the authors felt that the student evaluations of their courses were not relevant due to them not being experts in instructional design. Do you agree with this, or do you feel that student evaluations serve some type of importance? And the second question, being that MOOCs have been on the decline retention wise for the past couple of years, what do you believe is the reason for this?